In this video, we're breaking down what I consider the single most effective way to build wealth in the modern era, index funds. If you're looking for a set it and forget it approach to your portfolio, this is it. Even Warren Buffett, the GOAT of investing, famously recommended that the average person should just buy a low-cost index fund and move on with their life. By simply automating your contributions into these funds, your net worth grows while you sleep. Now, a quick reality check. This isn't a get rich by next Tuesday scheme. You won't see your money triple in a month. But if you're interested in getting wealthy over the long haul, this is your roadmap. In this video, I'm going to explain the massive difference between index funds and mutual funds, and then I'll give you my updated top 5 list of index funds. Make sure you stick around for the context. It's the difference between panic selling during a crash and having the confidence to stay the course. To understand why an index fund is so powerful, we have to look back at the old school, which is the mutual fund. Imagine you and 100 other people pool $100,000 each. You hand that massive pile of cash to a professional money manager, and their job is to handpick stocks to beat the market. Because that manager has a mortgage and kids to feed, they charge you a high management fee. An index fund is different. There's no genius picking stocks. It's passively managed, meaning it just automatically tracks a specific index, like the S&P 500. And because it's automated, these fees are nearly zero. Instead of trying to find the needle in the haystack, you're just buying the whole haystack. It's faster, and historically, it outperforms almost every professional manager over 20 to 30 years. You also get instant diversification across hundreds of companies with a single click. Now, you'll often hear people use index fund and ETF, aka the exchange traded fund, interchangeably. They usually hold the same exact stocks, but there are two small differences you need to know. First off, index funds only trade once a day at the closing bell, while ETFs trade like stocks all day long. Second, many traditional index funds require a minimum investment, like $3,000, and if you don't have that much yet, you can just buy the ETF version. For most of us, the difference is negligible, but it's a good idea to keep in your back pocket. Starting our list at number 5, we have FNILX, or the Fidelity Zero Large Cap Index Fund, and the name says it all. This fund has zero fees. Most brokers have to pay a licensing fee to use the S&P 500 trademark, but Fidelity got smart. They created their own internal index of roughly 500 large US companies to mimic the S&P 500 so they could offer it to you for free. So what does this actually mean? You basically pay nothing for buying and holding this index fund. FNILX holds over 500 different amazing companies you've probably heard of, including Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and so many more. It has a solid track record of returns at 17% in 1 year, 18% in 3 years, 11% in 5 years, and 13% for the entire life of the fund. The only downside? You have to have a Fidelity account, and you can't easily transfer the fund to another broker without selling it. If you're someone who's already on Fidelity, it's a great way to save a lot on fees in the long term. Number 4 is VASGX, or the Vanguard Life Strategy Growth Fund. This is for the person who truly wants to do zero work. It's a balanced fund comprised of 80% stocks and 20% bonds. It doesn't just buy US companies. It gives you exposure to international markets and international bonds as well. While international stocks have trailed the US for the last decade, we don't know what the next 20 years will look like. Having this broad global diversification protects you. Think of it as an all-weather fund that handles the rebalancing for you. Now, the interesting part about VASGX is that it acts like a fund of funds and invests in underlying Vanguard index funds, including the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, the Total International Stock Market Index Fund, the Total Bond Market Index Fund, and the Total International Bond Index Fund. The expense ratio comes in at 0.1%, which is about $10 a year for every $10,000 that you invest. And that's a small price for a total peace of mind. The returns of this fund have been solid, with 18% in 1 year, 14% in 3 years, 7% in 5 years, and 9% in 10 years. By the way, if you want to get started with your investing journey, I've left a link to SoFi, which is where I personally buy and hold some of these funds. And if you sign up using the link below, you can get a free fractional share of stock after signing up and making a deposit. The third fund on today's list is VTV, or the Vanguard Value ETF. If growth stocks are flashy sports cars, value stocks are the reliable trucks. VTV invests in large established companies that grow slower but are much more stable during a market downturn. We're talking about companies like JP Morgan, ExxonMobil, Johnson & Johnson, and Walmart, with a total number of holdings at around 300 companies. This fund has an expense ratio of just 0.03%, which means that you'd pay just $3 for every $10,000 you invest, which is incredibly cheap. The returns for VTV have also been solid, with 16% in 1 year, 15% in 3 years, 11% in 5 years, and 11% in 10 years. If you're someone who's worried that big tech stocks like Apple and Nvidia are getting too expensive, VTV is a great way to anchor your portfolio in companies with real, tangible assets and consistent dividends. Number 2 is the Everything Fund. At Vanguard, it's VTI or VTSAX. At Fidelity, it's FSKX. Unlike the S&P 500, which only looks at the 500 biggest companies, the total stock market index gives you a slice of every public company in America. It currently holds over 3,400 different stocks, and the top 10 holdings include giants such as Google, Amazon, and Apple, the mid-sized companies, and the small startups. The expense ratio for VTI is at just 0.03%, which means you'd pay just $3 for every $10,000 that you invest. The returns for VTI have been outstanding, with 18% returns in 1 year, 17% in 3 years, 10% in 5 years, and 13% in 10 years. Think of VTI as the ultimate fund for diversification in the US. If a small company in the Midwest becomes the next global powerhouse, you already own it. It's one of the most powerful one-fund portfolios in the world for a reason. Finally, coming in at number 1, we have VOO, or the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, with FXAIX being the Fidelity version. In my opinion, this is the gold standard of investing. It tracks the 500 largest, most profitable companies in the US, and the top 10 companies in this ETF include companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. It's diversified across 11 different sectors, so you're never too heavily weighted in just one industry. The expense ratio comes in at just 0.03%, which is just $3 for every $10,000 invested. To put that in perspective, the average mutual fund fee is around 1%, so you are saving a fortune in fees over 30 years. It's weighted by market cap, meaning it naturally buys more of the companies that are winning. If I personally had to pick one fund to recommend to my own family for the rest of their lives, it would be this one. Look, the hardest part of investing isn't picking the fund, it's staying consistent. Whether you choose the S&P 500 or the total market, the key is to automate your investments and ignore the noise. If you are consistent for the long term, there's a high chance you'll be very glad that you did so. That is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want to get started with your investing journey, I've left a link to SoFi, which is where I personally buy and hold some of these funds. And if you sign up using the link below, you can get a free fractional share of stock after signing up and making a deposit. Make sure you take action to get your investing journey started as soon as possible. Drop a comment below and let me know, which fund do you personally consider the most? And if you're a complete beginner, make sure you check out some of my other videos where I go over investing for beginners more in depth. Thanks so much for being here, and always remember that your life is a masterpiece, so let's unlock your full financial potential together. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.